Hey, good evening, guys. KB5 MIQ Big Boy. It looks crooked. Alright. Guys, we got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. I'll pull this camera around here and show y'all something again. Show you what I got for some upcoming videos. Alright, I got a HeathKit HW101 with power supply, HP23 power supply, and a HeathKit SB220 2K amp. We're going to get these back on the air over the next few months and do some more video work with that for y'all. Let me get this camera turned right around here again. Some of you may ask, why are you fooling with a 50-year-old radio? Well, there's several reasons. One, personally, I've never operated a tube radio. Get up here, ham radio cat. Hey, ham radio cat. Jumped up here in my lap. I've never operated a tube radio. As long as I've been in the hobby, never have. Everything I've run is transistors. Number two, see lots of guys still on a budget, like I've always been, looking for gear. These old rigs are still viable for use on single sideband phone and CW. It's 10 through 80 sideband CW rig. The amplifier's 10 through 80, so they're good to use. Thing about them, HeathKits were designed for the average person to be able to build them herself. You probably needed a little bit of electronic knowledge, but you didn't have to be an electrical engineer. WD5HKV Jeff built an HW101 when he was about 15 years old. That was his first rig. So you can build them. They're big. They're not as miniaturized as these modern radios. Somebody blind like me ought to be able to get into them and do a little work on them and see what we can get going. After that, I've got plenty of help. Got Tim, Jeff, and Kent all available to help me get these on the air. I'd like to give a big shout out to the guys I got these from. W5SUM, Ronnie Hull, Shreveport, hooked me up with HW101 and the power supply. And W5MAS, Mark Story, my neighbor, hooked me up with his amp. Mark was one of my Elmers also when I first got into this hobby. And speaking of Mark, I've always liked to try to help new YouTubers out, especially ham tubers. Now, Mark's a ham, but his channel's not about ham radio. But Mark has gotten into photography and videography of birds in our Northeast Texas area, and he has got a really cool channel with bird videos he's put on there. I'm going to put the link on here in the description, so if you want to see some cool footage of wildlife and outdoors and birds, check his channel out, give him a subscribe and a like. I know he'd appreciate it. Ronnie and Mark, thanks again for hooking me up here with this stuff. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about a couple of social media things I've read, and then we're going to talk about another little idea, kind of rehash something. Guys, if you are an older ham, been in the hobby a while, and you can't give positive reinforcement or just a simple answer without being a butt, don't answer these questions on social media, all right? Because it looks bad on the hobby, because everybody can see this. When I got in the hobby, only people knew about sad ham radio operators. It ain't like that anymore. So, here was the question. What has been your experience with the Cushcraft R9 and also the G5 RV Junior? This guy was just asking about two different types of antennas. How did you get your general class certificate without knowing how to build a simple dipole? That didn't help matters none. Build your own antenna, stop throwing money away. Well, I'm an advocate of building your own antennas, but you don't have to be quite that snarky about it. Y'all, these younger people are a different generation than what we grew up in. You got to remember that. Not saying they're more sensitive or anything like that. It's just different. We got to realize that. Now, I grew up being hollered at on a farm. Went through boot camp in 1980 with a bunch of Vietnam vet combat infantry drill sergeants at Fort Benning, Georgia. The time I got in ham radio, sad ham went off on me. I thought it was funny, or I just turned it down and got away with it. It didn't bother me a bit. A lot of times these people there are going to get out of the hobby because of it. Like I've said before, there's always going to be somebody watching us. You know, watching the hobby, things we do on social media in an effort to take our bands away from us. So if you can't give just a simple, honest answer without being either a snarky answer or a NASA engineer answer, one from my old buddy David, don't give them an answer at all. A lot of times I see posts on here, if they've got a bazillion answers, I'm not even going to comment on it because somebody's already given the same answer I'm going to give them, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse. So you ask anybody that's followed me on this channel, I try to give simple directions. I don't tell you what to do. I tell you how I do it. I give you suggestions how you could do it and give you information where you can make your own decision. Because ultimately, nobody can make a decision how to run your shack but you. All right. Here's another one. Can I split my Astron VS35M power supply between an ICOM 9700 and a 7300 as long as I'm not transmitting on both at the same time? Yeah, that's simple enough. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got an RS50 back here. My whole shack's tied to it. I don't transmit but on one radio at a time. Doesn't hurt a thing. I may put this on here. I may have every one of them on, but if I'm transmitting on an HF rig, the other three are turned off. I usually leave a 2 meter on. Doesn't hurt a bit. Doesn't hurt a thing. The thing about that is this: look at the continuous duty amperage amp load of your power supply and the amp load of your radios, and that's how you come up with that decision. Guys, I know social media and YouTube is everybody's go-to in today's environment. I really do. I'm using YouTube to talk to y'all. I'm not knocking YouTube. I'm not knocking social media. But we have a tendency to be YouTube mechanics. I'm one YouTube mechanic first class right here. Alternator went out on my pickup this week. I went out there to raise hood. Hell, I couldn't even find the alternator on. I had to get on YouTube to find it, YouTube to fix it. I was able to change it out. Here's the difference. I'm going to change that alternator one time, and I'm never going to go out there and change it again unless I keep the truck another 190,000 miles, which I highly doubt. So, that's fine. Amateur radio, trying to learn amateur radio through YouTube, there's lots of things you can learn here. I'm not knocking it. But there's always need for the written word when it comes to amateur radio. I've done this, showed this y'all before. Let me move around here. Here is 5 binders full of manuals for all my gear. There's one more binder out in my truck that's got the manual to my 8900 in it because I was doing some programming on it. Here's 2 empty binders that are going to be filled up with the manuals for these HeathKits tomorrow when I print them off. Again, Handbook of World, ARRL Handbook of Amateur Radio. ARRL Antenna Book. New guys, the antenna book is pretty in-depth. I'm not saying you're not smart enough to use it, but it's pretty in-depth. This is wrote specifically for people getting in the hobby. It don't matter what year the model of the book is. Antennas and propagation is the same. It's always been the same. So that is the best source of information you have. And we're trying to learn this hobby to be prepared for emergency use. Emergency use, probably not going to have access to the internet. So, YouTube's great. Just don't let a sad ham on YouTube cause you to get out of the hobby. And that's fine. I think it's great. But it doesn't replace the written word and keeping records. Okay? I know a lot of you may think, yeah, he probably keeps a paper logbook. Yeah, I do. I also got a logbook of the world, got QRZ log, but I still maintain a paper logbook. I just like to do it. Just my thing. So, study. It's a continual learning process. You get the license, it's not going to teach you everything about ham radio just passing that test. In fact, when I done a video several months ago, maybe a year ago, where I went over the tech questions, I was kind of shocked that there wasn't any propagation or antenna questions on there. But that's just the way it is. We can't change that. Look at the license as your minimum requirements to get into the hobby, and you're going to start your learning process that never ends. And if you run across that ham that says he knows everything about ham radio, that's the one to stay away from, because I guarantee you he don't. Guys, when I first got back into this, I had my 897, I had a Kenwood 261, I had a G5 RV full size up, I had a quarter wave dual band vertical, and a 6 meter 2-element Yagi on a push-up pole. All antennas I had. Now, the evening group has gotten bigger. I'm doing stuff for the channel. Y'all have got me to doing things I never planned on doing. Echolink, FT8, DMR. All stuff I do helps out guys with the channel, helps out my channel, and helps you guys learn it. I'm all for it. But, again, nobody knows your budget better than you. Nobody knows your location better than you. Guys, I appreciate all the good remarks and good comments. I got one of the greatest emails this week I've ever gotten in a long time. Congratulate me on how I handle the channel. I'm going to keep doing things the same way. I'm not big on hawking all the latest in gear. I'm not knocking the guys that do that. But I enjoyed my collaboration with MFJ, because I felt like MFJ was a really good, viable company for new hams getting into the hobby. I've turned down TID radio twice, and I'm not going to hawk their stuff. I may eventually later find another manufacturer that's something that I thought would help a new guy. I might, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing right now and enjoying this. MTC in Paris, that's the only retailer I ever plan to talk about. They're friends of mine, and I don't get paid to talk about them. I just like to promote local business. Good people up there running it, and they're fixing to be moving into their new location. Keep check on Richard's used gear. It's always changing every day. Guys, we're at 1,566 subscribers. We hit 1,700. We got several things we're going to give away here. K1ENT's got hooked me up with another talkie. W9LEO, I've got a used antenna analyzer, the tower bearing. And I'm going to start trying to find some more handbooks to start giving away to you guys. Thanks again, everybody, subscribe to the channel. I am $2.72 away from hitting the payment threshold of $100. So if y'all watch this video enough for me to make $2.72, I might get paid at the end of the month. Regardless, we'll keep it up. Anyway, I like doing this. I love meeting you guys at HamFest. It always tickles me when somebody comes up and asks me how the ham radio cat is. This is KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.